A deeply reflective journey of self-love and boundaries. There is something deeply profound about the way intelligence, in all its nuance, shapes attraction. For me, intelligence is not simply the ability to recite facts or process information quickly. It's a depth of thought, an awareness, a curiosity that refuses to settle. It's the way a mind challenges and stretches reality beyond its edges, how it seeks understanding instead of assumption, how it turns complexity into clarity. And somehow, society finds it strange that this is the first trait that draws me in. I have often questioned myself, wondering if my preference is misplaced or misunderstood. While some are captivated by physical beauty, status, or charm, my attraction has always lived within the corridors of thoughtfulness, the ability to articulate, analyze, and navigate the unseen layers of existence. But why does that seem so unconventional? Perhaps because accurate intelligence demands confrontation with self, with reality, with truth. And confrontation is not always welcomed. There is something profoundly transformative about understanding what we compensate for, often in ways we don't fully recognize. Sometimes it's woven into the fabric of our existence through societal status, physical appearances, or achievements that, while impressive, are often fleeting. In many ways, these external markers become shields, serving as a means to prove worth in a world that rarely pauses to look beyond the surface. Yet, what truly defines us, what truly cements our presence in the hearts of others, is something intangible. It is what remains when all the worldly decorations fade. As I examine my own life, I realize that many of the most accomplished people, those who have seemingly reached the highest peaks, often carry the heaviest burdens of self-esteem. It's ironic, yet revealing. Intelligence, while powerful, can sometimes bring isolation, self-doubt, and the weight of constantly questioning one's place in the world. And in that uncertainty, we sometimes overcompensate, reaching for things that make us feel more worthy, more seen, more accepted. But do those things truly reflect who we are? Or are they simply responses to the deeper insecurities we don't want to name? This is the moment to reflect, to pause and ask, how much of what I hold on to was never meant to be mine? Throughout my journey, I have come to understand how the confusion surrounding identity and belonging has created deep-seated insecurities that, at times, seem impossible to unravel. And the more I search, the more I realize that the answer never lies in what we achieve, what we wear, or how we are perceived. It lies in the authenticity of the heart and soul. The ones who truly see beyond the surface, the ones who are drawn to something more profound than status or appearance, are often the ones who challenge us to step fully into ourselves. And in that realization, I ask myself, what am I still carrying that was never mine to hold? There have been moments when things, or even people, I desperately wanted but could not attain, played with my emotions, exacerbating those insecurities and steering me toward places I wouldn't usually choose. It is in those moments that I've wrestled with the difference between seeking connection versus seeking validation, between truly knowing my worth and allowing external forces to dictate how I should feel about myself. This realization has made it clear that internal work is critical. Without it, the risk of living a hollow, unfulfilled existence becomes all too real. I've found that boundaries are the antidote to losing oneself in others' expectations. I used to think boundaries were barriers, obstacles that kept me from connection. Still, I now see them as guidelines that protect, define, and strengthen my ability to navigate relationships without losing myself. Saying no used to feel like rejection, but now it feels like self-respect. Saying I need time used to feel selfish, but now it feels like necessary preservation. And as I reflect on past relationships, On the times I stayed in spaces that drained me, I understand that without boundaries, there is no true self-worth. For years, I made sacrifices in the name of love, in the name of duty, and in the name of obligation. Yet, without self-worth, love itself becomes warped. It turns into resentment, a silent battle where one person gives too much and the other takes too much, until eventually both are left wounded by the weight of unspoken truths. My journey has been an unraveling, a slow peeling away of identities that never truly belonged to me, an acceptance of what I desire, what I need, and what I will no longer entertain. Intelligence remains my most significant source of attraction, not because it's rare, but because it's unapologetically real. It requires presence, it demands engagement, and most importantly, it refuses to shrink itself to be understood. So here I stand, embracing the fullness of who I am, the complexities of what I've felt, and the boundless potential of what's still ahead. The road has not been easy, and it will never be, but I have found my path, and for the first time, I refuse to question it. Self-love is a lifelong commitment. Growth is an ongoing process. Intelligence is an unshakable foundation. 𝐓𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐿. There is something profoundly transformative about learning what to let go of. Not just what you carry, but what was never yours to have. The weight of expectations, the echoes of past rejections, the burden of proving your worth to people who were never meant to define it. These things were never intended to be permanent. And yet, for so long, I held on to them as if they were proof of my identity, as if releasing them would somehow make me less. I have often questioned myself, whether my values, my standards, my attraction to intelligence over superficiality, my relentless need for depth and understanding were misplaced. Was I too much? Was I seeking something the world did not prioritize? The answer didn't come immediately, but now I see it clearly. What you value reflects what you will build, and the life you make should never shrink itself to fit small expectations. Through this journey, I've come to realize that self-worth is not earned through suffering. It does not come from being strong enough to endure unnecessary pain, nor from staying in places that diminish you to prove loyalty. The deepest love, the kind that restores, elevates, and sustains, begins with choosing yourself. It starts with accepting that some battles do not need to be fought. Some wounds do not require reopening. Some weight was never meant to be yours. I used to believe that sacrifice was a cornerstone of love and success. The more I gave up, the more I would gain in return. But what I learned is that neglecting yourself in the name of love is not love. It is self-abandonment. And there comes a moment where you must ask, who am I outside of what I've been taught to endure? And so, here I stand, embracing the fullness of who I am, the complexities of what I've felt, and the boundless potential of what's still ahead. The road has not been easy, and it will never be. But I have found my path, and for the first time, I refuse to question it. Self-love is a lifelong commitment. Growth is an ongoing process. Intelligence is an unshakable foundation. Release what was never yours. Step forward into what is. I am learning that some things, some people, are not meant to be understood, and maybe that's okay. Perhaps understanding is not always the point. Perhaps, in its purest form, acceptance is recognizing that the world is a puzzle of complex, diverse individuals, and we are meant to find our true place of belonging. But sometimes I wonder, how much time have I wasted trying to fit into spaces that were never meant for me? How much energy have I spent proving myself to people who were never meant to see me? I have lost too much, too many people, too many who accepted me without condition. And yet, for so long, I kept chasing validation in places that only left me empty. We tell ourselves rejection is painful, but what's even more painful is trying to force belonging in areas where our presence is merely tolerated. Authenticity attracts authenticity. The more I forced myself into spaces that shrank me, the more I lost sight of the one place I was always meant to stand, entirely in myself. Beyond the screens, beyond the perfect captions, beyond the curated versions of existence that flood our timelines, real life does not play on a loop of highlights. It is messy, it is raw, it is full of unanswered questions and quiet battles no one sees. And that's why I've come to understand that time is short. The minutes we spend doubting ourselves, longing for approval, waiting for recognition, those minutes are stolen moments we will never get back. We think we have time, but how much of it are we wasting in places that will never fulfill us? The greatest tragedy is not losing opportunities. It is not taking them. It's losing yourself in the process. So now I remind myself, before I seek connection, I must first seek myself. Before I try to understand others, I must know why I have spent so much of my life trying to be understood in places that never valued me. And I must trust that what doesn't welcome me, what refuses to acknowledge me, what makes me question my worth, is not rejection, but redirection. It's a sign, a push, a lesson in patience and alignment. So be patient, even when it feels unbearable. Be patient, even when it seems like the world moves forward without you. Your time, your moment, your space, it will come. And when it does, it won't be because you forced it. It will be because you were always meant to be there. Let go, align, become.